Welcome to the Dana Grant Show, where heart-centered stories, authentic connections, real talk, and real action come together. I'm your host, Dana Grant. I'm a life coach, speaker, and believer in the boundless power within every one of us. Each week, we're diving into raw, transformative conversations that not only spark healing, but growth and unshakable clarity. Because you know what? Your story matters. Your voice deserves to be heard, and your purpose is waiting to be fully lived. You're in the right place. Let's begin. Welcome back to the Dana Grant Show, where I have a really special guest in the house today, Dr. Jacque Colbert. Not only is she a U.S. veteran, Army veteran, but she's a corporate leader, executive, a breast cancer survivor, author, and founder of Sipping PositiviTEA. We'll dive into that. Her career includes a senior people operations leader in roles and organizations, including Google. She's the author of the Corporate Sisterhood, now in its 10th anniversary edition, which is encouraging women to show up powerful in every room. We are going to have more in her bio, but I just wanted to give you some highlights today on how special our guest is in the house today. We're going to unpack not only her victorious survival over breast cancer, how she shows up in the world, supports, connects, and leads. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the show. Okay, as I mentioned, I have someone incredibly special in the house today that has taken me a while to connect with our schedules. But Dr. Jacque Colbert is someone you're going to want to know. She's created unbelievable things in the world that you're going to want to lean into. You're going to want to hit download, record on this one. I am saying that, I say that, but this time, I mean it every time, but this time you are going to want to put this on replay. Welcome, Dr. Jacque, to the house. I am so honored to have you here.
The pleasure is all mine. Thank you so much for having me. Like you, I have been living to have this conversation, dying and living at the same time to spend
Oh,
time with you and
love
honoring
that.
the fact that we've both had busy schedules. But I can't wait for us to dig into this conversation and just get it going. Yeah.
Yeah, there's so much to unpack that I want people to know, not just about you, but what you've created in the world so they can tap into that energy, that synergy, that magic. And I think what I really looked at, I mean, there was so as they know, because I've done an intro already, but I think what really I want to start with is that you led some of the most powerful people, including Google companies in the world, but corporate sisterhood was forged during a deeply, deeply personal time. How did those two entities kind of worlds collide and merge for you? I don't know. Is that a good place to start? Because
It, like you said, there's so much to unpack here.
yes,
And I always say that none of us, women or men, are a piece of a person. Even when you have a corporate life and an
yeah.
entrepreneurial life, you're a whole person. And at some point in time, these things collide. So, in talking
Yeah.
about corporate sisterhood, which I wrote as the ultimate power prescription for every working woman, this year,
Incredible.
eh, I'm
Your
so
10th anniversary. Congratulations. And you know what I forgot to say? Thank you for your service. Thank you for your service. And 10-year anniversary is another like milestone of like, wow, wow, you.
You know what? Sometimes I have to pinch myself, but I'm always mindful of the fact that I didn't arrive here alone. So the two worlds of corporate sisterhood and my corporate life being at places like Google, T-Mobile, uh,
Yeah.
VMware, and other companies, even my stint in the Army, I never imagined corporate sisterhood, but it was born out of
Mm.
a time in my life that was the darkest. So 18 years ago, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. It
Right.
was at a time when, going back to my military days, you would say, you know what, I'm Army strong, standing tall and looking good. I ought to be in Hollywood. A picture of health from the outside.
Well, not only health, but let's talk about your. Well, I'm just going to add.
Oh,
For
yeah.
those of you that aren't on YouTube right now, she's absolutely stunning. But if you follow her on Instagram, and we will have all those links for you, don't get impatient. She is a fashionista. I fell in love not only with her energy, but if anyone knows me, I love fashion and she brings it. I'm like, where you be getting all that?
A little bit from here and a little bit from there. I get it from
It's
all over.
beautiful.
And
I love it. You
thank you.
always show up gorgeous.
Thank you so much. But so in my showing up and donning myself, and at the time I was at Dell Technologies as an HR director, had a clean bill of health, and all of a sudden, and I was concurrently beginning my doctoral journey, going to school.
Right.
And boom, after getting a clean bill of health, 2 weeks later, I found a lump in my breast. I'm going to fast forward this conversation to say I was hit with the diagnosis of my life. And at
Yeah.
the time, I was a single mom in Austin, Texas, raising my
Mm.
daughter. And I said, you know what? Life has thrown me lemons. Yeah, I'm a little bit scared, but I've got to push through this. So it came from a point of survival. And I ended up writing my dissertation about sisterhood and the relationships women share in the workplace. The net result of my dissertation showed that survival is important and the sticking together methodology really helps women to become better, help companies to retain employees longer, and so on and so forth. But
Right.
10 years of wisdom since the book was written and a lot have happened,
Yeah.
learned. I've learned that survival is not enough. Survival is
Mm.
just the table stakes, baby. It's on the
Yeah.
ground floor. We've got to move from this mode of just surviving and thriving. So I've added 3 new chapters to Corporate
Mm.
Sisterhood that talks about a
Mm.
thriver's rhythm and what it means to thrive. And even as recent as today, I'm doing a post on Instagram about what it means to go through the sacred pause, not surrendering, but a sacred pause in honoring self such that when you show up in the most present and authentic way.
Mm.
So those worlds are not separate and apart.
No.
It just requires that in my person, that I am intentional, that I'm acting on purpose with purpose, such that my corporate life can also be a direct indication of what it means to thrive.
I can tell you, I am always looking for signs. Hummingbird came as I was sitting here doing your notes. I mean, signs, signs, signs. And I just finished teaching in my community about the sacred pause, about
Wow.
don't feel in. My whole hour of teaching was not being uncomfortable. And I went around how uncomfortable to claim. Can you give it space? Can you not fill that in? And everybody wants to fill it in with their to-do list. And I'm like, how about we just a to-be list? And I'm like, what would it feel like to? And I love that you said that because I think now more than ever that is needed. The sacred pause, the doing, the slaying, it's over. The achieving, the silent workload, all of
Yes.
it.
Yes. Oh, I love synchronicity. I
Yeah,
love the
I
hummingbird.
know.
I love that you've been talking about this.
Yeah. I
And
mean,
we
it's just
didn't
like,
meet.
whoa,
Yeah, we didn't
synergy.
meet, but it is the synergistic nature of this
Yeah.
conversation. And I got to be honest in saying, as an Army veteran, right? In the Army, you're told you
Yeah.
don't give up, you don't this, you push
No.
forward, and all of that. I
Yeah.
think that there's a time and a place when you honor that, right? But
Yeah.
in my writing, which has come from learning and growing, and not just from myself, let me be clear. One of the things that I've learned, I'll say a couple of things, that when you become a learned person, you should never see the world the same way again. So I learned from my daughter, who is early in career. She's also an HR practitioner. I learned from the folks that I mentor. And one of the things that I've done differently in my learning that I've woven into the thriver's rhythm and the sacred pause is waving the white flag of surrender. And if you'd allowed me, I'd love to talk about it.
Oh, are you kidding me? I wrote a book, it's 12 universal laws. My number one is the universal law of surrender. So once again, bing, 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 bing.
Bing, 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 bing,
It's
bing,
like
bing.
we're just hitting red buttons here.
Yes,
Oh, please
yes.
expand on that. I'm like, I got goosies on that one.
So here's the deal. on going back 18 years ago when I was diagnosed, I'm well into fitness. I love working out. A dear friend of mine, Stephanie, each summer she would go off on vacation. She was the fitness instructor, but she would partner with me, and whenever she was gone, I would teach boot camp for her. Going back, standing tall and looking good, ought to be in Hollywood.
Right.
So I never told her that I was diagnosed. In fact, I was very quiet.
Oh,
I told very few people. And I was scheduled to have
wow.
a lumpectomy. And on the morning of my lumpectomy, while she was gone, I did a bad thing, which at the time I wrote about it in my book, that I was so brave and I was so strong that I taught boot camp that morning. But here's the bad thing that I did. And I want women to not do this going forward. I
Yeah.
risked my own life
Yeah.
teaching boot camp, not drinking water because I was going to be under general anesthesia,
Yeah.
and almost dehydrating myself to the point when I went in for surgery, they could barely find a vein.
Right.
Today, I understand even more that surrendering and waving the white flag doesn't mean
Right.
that you've given up. It means that you're making space again and saying, I need to prioritize myself in a different way. And
Mm.
survival and waving the flag, which if you think from a military perspective or in other contexts of life, that when you wave the white flag, it's like, oh my gosh, I've quit, I'm giving up. I think that I want women to think about it differently, and not just women. I want men to think about it differently. What it
Right.
means to honor the fact that this temple that we've been given,
Right.
head, heart, hand, mind, body, and soul, is a whole person approach. And never ever think that when you wave the white flag, that it's finality. And sometimes surrendering and waving the white flag may mean that it's just not the right time, because
Right.
timing is everything. And waving the white flag for me in the current space and time in which I'm in sometimes mean it's giving space to someone else.
Mm.
So you learn that nothing is on accident. And the
Mm.
things that you celebrated to say, oh my gosh, I stayed up 18 hours and I did this or did that, or I pushed, oh yes, I pushed through boot camp. I went through chemo and radiation, barely had anybody around, and I went back through my doctoral journey. But what did it cost me? Really?
Right.
What
Well,
is
I love that you just said that. We talked about the universal laws kind of surrender and waving the white flag, and then I just dropped into the law of cause and effect, what it costs you. And
that?
I always say with cause and effect, you are first cause, which means you come first. But for a lot of us, we're like, oh no, how selfish. No, no, no. We're and as women, we're givers and we overgive and we make sure everything is done out here and we sacrifice. Like you said, I went in there, you almost sacrificed your health.
I did. I
And all
did.
these years forward, how are you now? Are we
I
cancer
am
free?
one. You know what?
I didn't
I'm
ask that before this interview, so I'm not setting any of you all up out there. I chose not to ask her till we went taping. How
in,
are you?
in real life. Here's the deal. Two
Real
things.
life.
Number one, I am my ancestors' wildest dreams. And in
Mm,
addition to that, I have so much favor from God. I've
mm,
remained cancer free. And it is for that reason that my platform around corporate sisterhood and sipping positivity and trying to teach where appropriate, because every lesson, every project is not my assignment, but where
right.
appropriate and where the timing and the alignment makes sense. I
Yeah.
take pause, the sacred pause, to give to others, pour in. Dr. Maya Angelou talks about the fact that you cannot go through life with a catcher's mitt on both hands. So I'm
Yeah.
constantly being mindful of keeping one open so I can throw back,
Oh,
because
I
I've
love
been
that.
given a lot. And in my receiving, I am big on reciprocity. And that means that if there is one woman or one man that is
Yeah.
listening out there and this catches the ear of what it means to thrive beyond surviving and learning something from this, then my heart is full. My heart is full.
Wow.
But thankfully, I remain cancer free, and I'm grateful for that.
That is so, so powerful. And what's come out of it is even more powerful, which, you kind of set me up for my next question. How did sipping a positivity, positive tea come to life? Because that has become taken on a life of its own. Let's talk about
Yes.
that.
So sipping positivity, it's in life you go through and you see signs and things happen where people would always say to me, "Oh my gosh, Jackie, you're always so positive. You're always smiling."
Yeah.
And my jam was it takes less muscles to smile, so I always smile.
Yeah.
Or somebody says to me, such and such is happening and it's bad or so on and so forth. I honor the fact and I'm realistic about the fact that challenges will happen, but I've always found a way to bridge or find something in
Mm.
between that made it positive. So here, insert cancer again, right? And after 2 weeks having surgery and all of the things, I went back to work after 2 weeks. And the folks with my friends, the few friends that I had and my colleagues would go, "Are you nuts? Why are you always smiling?" When I went into chemo, Dr. Cos would say I started wrapping my head like Erica Badu after my hair fell out.
Yeah.
And he started telling me, "You just look like the queen and you're just walking in here." So I embrace it. Okay, you're telling me I look like the queen? Thank you. I'm gonna take that. But the golden thread that was woven through all of it was this sentiment that people were telling me that I was positive. And then girlfriends would call, and just like you were sipping with your gorgeous cup, they would say to me, "So, Jackie, what's the tea?" And because
Mm.
I'm a writer and I love words, I started
Yeah.
noodling with it and I said, "Well, if you're going to sip tea, you've got to keep it positive." And I always want the tea, meaning what's the gossip or whatever.
Yeah.
Every tea that I gave to someone, I wanted it to be positive. So I
Ah.
put together sipping positivity.
Oh, I love it so much. It was so clever when I fell in love with that. That's the first thing I saw. And I'm like, what is this? I love this. Because number one, I love tea, but I also
Yes.
know vibrationally the universal law of energy, man. Let's just drop it in today. All the laws that are coming in and God being such an incredible source for us that you chose positivity over grumbling. And what people don't know is gossip and grumbling is such a low vibrational energy and will only tumble you into more chaos and stress and overdoing because there's so much to undo when we do that. It's messy.
It,
And you
it,
chose to go high vibration, like I'm going to give gratitude, I'm going to be happy, I'm going to be joyful, I'm going to give back. And it was that just natural. You didn't grumble at all.
no, no, I didn't.
Wow.
And let me be, I want to always be honest about this. And I was sharing it even with my assistant, who's a daughter to me. uh, as I was doing my post today and I said, "I'm a recovering overthinker." She wrote back to me, she says, "So do you want your caption to be, I've stopped overthinking?" And I said, "No. I never want people to think that I'm 100% of anything because I'm always growing. And I believe in the Da Vinci principles, which talk about, and
Yeah.
there are 7 principles, which talks about always fine tuning. So here's what I
Mm,
did, Dana, to be specific in responding to your questions. Did I grumble a time or two? Yes, but I would catch myself. I'm
mm.
big on catching myself and saying, "Oh,
Integrity muscle.
come on, girl, snap out of it. Snap. We're not going to have any of that." Or, on the days where when I started going through chemo from the time that it started to midway through with all of the steroids, the drugs, and all of this other stuff, to keep me alive, I gained a lot of weight. I put on about 40 pounds and I never stopped working out. I'd be out there running 5Ks and my legs would hurt, my knees would hurt. And in the moment that I felt the pain and I was going, "Oh my gosh, this hurts so bad." I go, "Okay, all right, puppies, we're not going to let this keep us down. Come on, chubbers, let's go. Come on, big knees, pick it up, pick it up, pick it up, pick it up." So I would talk myself out of it. And I think today, what are we calling it? Neuroscience
Yeah, you would
and
call it
neuroelasticity and
neuroscience,
all of that.
biohacking, neuroscience. Yeah, that would be the word of the year. What would we call that? The Last year it was trauma. The year, I mean,
I,
I always call it little
it's always
categories.
something. It's
Yeah, it's
always
always
something.
something. But yeah, so you were doing that before it became a thing.
I
And
didn't have a word for it. I
yeah.
didn't know what the word was, you know. But I was talking, it's the positive self-talk of, all right, get up. I know that it's 4:30. You don't really want to be up. You're feeling tired, you're being exhausted. I'd look at myself in the mirror and I'm like, there's nothing tired about you. Come on, you are the daughter of Roy and Noreen Walters. Pick it up. Let's go. My parents, I'm an immigrant to the United States. My parents work hard. Let's go. Let's go. Push it through, push it through.
So
And the
your
more,
parents inspired you. You
yes,
didn't, you kind of cut off your friends to support you. But where did you tap into for this great? I mean, it's great to have inspiration, but I always say we got to like plug in somewhere on, especially when we're depleted and your body's being depleted and fighting. Where did you plug in to stay so positive?
God is number one.
Yeah.
I always felt that it's so funny. Call it the audacity of hope, or you could call it the audacity
Mm.
of stupidity, or I say
Mm.
faith, right? So when my doctor called me and told me this was the diagnosis and first step is needle biopsy, and that came back positive, and then the next call was you need to have surgery and we're going to go in. I think I had this little 2 minutes where I kind of yelped like a dog is what I remembered. And
Mm.
then I said, I tell you what, I want this out of my body immediately.
So you
I want
claimed
it
it.
out
Want
immediately.
it out immediately.
Yeah.
I'm not going to entertain any of this. I want it gone.
I wanted out immediately. I got off the phone. I did have three girlfriends around, a very small circle.
Yeah.
Uh, and, you know, they stayed close to the situation because I didn't have any family members in the state of Texas at the time, still have very few
Right.
family members here. But I remember saying, I need to get quiet. And I started praying.
Mm.
Even on the days, Dana, when I get up with a quick
Mm.
start and I forget to do my prayer right away, which this is how flawed I am. Sometimes I'm rushing and I forget. I go back to center and it's, God, thank you for this day. Help me to show up. Please put yourself before me because Jackie girl by herself, I'm really going to be pompous and not what you want me to be. Please keep me
Mm.
grounded. So my prayer life and my connection to the source was so strong that before I was told I was cancer free, I was saying that I didn't have it.
Yeah. Love
So
that
when you
too.
talk about what my the plug-in for me and the plug-in that remains today, even on the days when I'm not diligent, is always God first.
So
Always.
you were using your higher self and the Joe Dispenza visualization meditations before they even became a thing. You were
Exactly.
claiming that that is true connection and guidance. You
Yes.
know, I love that because when if we're really plugged in and listening, we get really still and we call in. I call in, you know, who are my five at my kitchen table, and I don't always have a seat there for five. You know, there's not always five that are there. I keep it small too because I think it's really important. More for me isn't better. There's no,
Yes.
you know, but
Sometimes less is more. Yeah.
yes,
Mhm.
exactly. And
Mhm.
it's the energy expended. And I love the fact that you just kept visualizing and that's another word. I just told my team, I said, let's not use that, erase that word from anything I've ever said, manifesting. Erase it,
Yeah.
do not use that word manifesting, but you really did visualize and see
I
and
saw
live a life that was cancer free. And you created the
100%.
positivity, which it's like I kept saying, I said that should be a song. And you have we sang a little bit before. We should have videotaped that.
Oh my God.
Darn, because I'm going to tell you, you have a beautiful voice. You should sing a song on that.
We
Definitely.
should say, I'm sipping, I'm sipping
Sipping
positivity. I'm
positivity.
sipping. By the way, Dana, so when you receive a little something, in the mugs that I've curated,
Yeah.
the mugs that say sipping positivity on the outside, on the inner rim of the mug, it says sip responsibly, sip positivity.
I love that so much. And then I thought I showed you the hummingbird
Yes.
sign and then my cup I chose today. And then I went with look at the inside, has hummingbirds, and it says on the bottom, believe. I mean, you just you just keep like being I call it binging me. Bing, 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 bing. For me,
I love a good
that
thing.
shows me alignment and what I've chosen to call in is super aligned, which I knew that. And that's why I stayed so persistent with you. What took you to Texas away from family?
The military.
So,
So
and the military is what kept you there. Are you still part of the military?
I am not. I am not. This old girl can't do what they need me to do anymore. But I'm encouraging other that if the spirit moves them in a unique way, that I think military service, and I stand
Yeah.
by it. It's the best decision that I ever made for my career. My story is that I dropped out of college after a semester and I joined the Army, being rebellious and not telling my parents. But
Ooh,
Army has taken me places such as Seoul, Korea, and having several duty stations that really changed the trajectory of my life, opened me up to even newer cultures and people, and learning how to deeply appreciate the unknown. Going to Korea at age 19,
wow.
hearing a different language, having to embrace different foods. Although, I was born in British Guyana and grew up in New York, where hello, New York is the melting pot, but going all the way to Korea at such a young age,
Well,
I
and the
was
discipline to enter into the military with the discipline and structure. And I mean, you drop out of college, you're rebellious, and then you step into a world. Were you ready for that?
you know what? Another truth. I wasn't sure, but I had an inner knowing that was saying to me, you have to do this thing.
Mm.
You feel like New York is a big place, but somehow my inner knowing was saying it's too small for you. You've got to go further
Mm.
to get further. You have to move.
Oh,
And so
wow.
without knowing, because the Army recruiter, my story is they weren't even calling my house for me. They were calling for my sister, and she refused to answer. And I finally got tired of picking the phone up and I said, tell me what this Army thing is about. And they
Wow.
had me at, you can do whatever you want to do as long as your ASVAB score is high and you can see the world, and
Mm.
we'll pay for you to go to college if you want to later on. And it
Mm.
happened. It happened.
Wow. I
Yeah.
know a few people that have gotten their doctorates and are brilliant doctors and have gone through the military. And I'm so impressed because I thought not only did you achieve that, but you went through the discipline. You not only have to serve, but then you go to school. And I mean, the duality there, that's like doubling down.
Yeah.
It's not like it's singular. I have to do this, and I'm going to do that. You're doing it. And you take on a lot. I think that's why I think you still hold so much so gracefully for so many people.
The military, definitely, I give so much credit to the United States Army for drill sergeants who screamed in my face when I couldn't fully understand why screaming was necessary, because
Mm.
not a screamer, and I think that you can get a lot done with silent leadership, but there are
Yes.
different types of leadership. So in the space and time, I had to honor it. But between my mom and my dad, who gave me an example in the start of a
Yeah.
wonderful blueprint. My dad has gone on to heaven, but
Mm.
one of the things that he said to me when I was leaving to go to the Army, because he was so disappointed that I wasn't going the
Mm.
traditional path of college, he said, I tell you what, you come back when you earn your doctoral.
Mm.
Come back, because I know that you have it in you. And for another day, we can discuss why I never truly walked the stage until I earned my doctoral for any other degree.
Ooh, ooh, oh, that's so crazy because a sign, a ring that I carry for something that I wanted to achieve, and I bought this ring for that achievement just slipped off my hand. That is wild.
Oh,
I'm
wow.
just it's gone. The big black onyx that I mean,
Ooh.
oh no, that's it. The little diamond that goes around the onyx is it just dropped off, and I'm like, well, how about that? I mean, it's like God is like move it in the house, and I believe
He
that
definitely is. He
I
definitely.
Well, let's keep moving because there's so much I want people to know about what you do and who you are. I mean, you were saying I'm a fitness enthusiast. You're a drummer. Yeah, I mean, you are an explorer and an adventurer. It's not just discipline. You're a creator too.
So drumming for me is art,
Yeah.
spiritual, it's movement. It is reminding me of the groove and reminding me that there are several grooves to which I can be a part of.
Yeah.
And when I drum with others, it's also about honoring the fact that sometimes people think that drumming is just one beat and you're making a lot of noise.
Yeah.
But I'm reminded that in drumming, there's a critical pause. If you pause long enough in drumming,
It's a
you
rhythm.
oh my gosh, the rhythm,
It's
the
a rhythm.
groove.
Yeah.
And and
Yeah.
and frankly speaking, there have been so many times where I'm drumming and the most audacious and wonderful ideas are born. And I'm going, oh my gosh, I can use it for this. I can use it as a metaphor for something that I'm doing
Mm.
with my team and I can bring
Yeah.
it to life.
So your creativity feeds, and I always tell people this, it's this silence, it's the pause, it's the creativity that comes in. I say I never open my laptop on a plane. I don't even bring it. I do not handle my phone. I never check into the Wi-Fi. I always have a window seat. I look out the window. I bring my own organic tea bag. So when they offer me, I'm like, just hot water, please.
Yes,
And I look out that window. It's always the same seat, 2A. I'm right there looking out at the clouds and the sunset and the sun, and everything downloads for me. It's
yes,
amazing what I create. And sometimes I'll pen to paper.
yes.
I will not use my phone, a little notebook, and I will
Mhm.
write it out. And I write upside down and backwards. And people are looking at me like, what is she doing? Is she that old? She could just be typing. Well, I don't type, and that would be much slower for me. And but
So
that being
good.
said, it's yeah, that creativity. I love that with you that you drum and you do that. And I was looking at um, the Thriver's rhythm, the groove and the break, and the sacred pause. We talked a little bit about the sacred pause. So is it the same thing? I mean, because your 10th anniversary introduces the Thriver's rhythm.
That's right. That's right. So,
Where are
so,
we at with that? What is
so
that? How can people utilize that, the Thrivers? Because I feel they could grab a hold of that. Somehow I'm like, let's grab a hold of the Thrivers rhythm. This could be something they could take and utilize now.
So the Thriver's rhythm is a reminder that a woman running on empty has nothing to pour, right? And
Yeah.
refilling the cup is very important. I don't want this to be a platitude. What I want to really extend
Mm.
here is thriving. Just I talked about drumming. One of the things that I failed to mention is drumming is a part of my medicine. I am grateful that while, I started my career in the medical field, that I don't have to take medication for the most part, even with
Right.
my diagnosis that I had a long time ago. But I do things that through food and through drumming that can be medicine. Thriving can look different for different people. So I don't want to be too prescriptive, even though I do write a little Dr. Jackie's power prescription.
Oh,
But
I love that. I
thriving,
love the power prescription. And I love what you just said with that. Love it.
yes, yes, but thriving is honoring balance, and balance can look different. Thriving means that you have to honor those sacred relationships and pausing on purpose with intentionality at the right time, leaving white space and not feeling the need to, at times, fill up one's calendar with every single hour on the hour and not taking critical time to pause. So there are three things that I really want to make sure that I'm underscoring that when and I
Yeah.
hope that folks will pick up this book. The Thriver's Rhythm need to be a movement, moving
Yeah.
from
And that's what you see. It's the only thing that I have on the page in a box.
that's right. That's right.
Energetic, and I put the Thrivers movement was like we gotta. It's a movement.
So three things. Number one, key critical connections. You and I have been back and forth on our social media platform, connecting as best as we can.
Yeah.
And we have to be honest about the fact that we live in a world where we have digital relationships.
Yeah.
Number one. I would ask each person to make sure that those are high fidelity relationships beyond what the algorithm is saying and amplifying and honoring them in the right way.
And I
What,
think when I first started asking you to my show, I wasn't a top 2% in the world. It was new. I was, just total newbie. And maybe I didn't have the influence. Maybe I had done things in the world, but I wasn't who I am now. But you still said yes then. We just
yeah,
had to get the logistics out. Energetically, it was connected. But I love that you said that.
yes, high fidelity,
High
uh,
fidelity.
authentic relationships. And the next one, and I'll frame this as my power prescription. Today we have 5 generations in the workplace. But we also, those generations are not just in the workplace, they're even in the digital relationships that
I
we have.
love that you
And
framed that. Five
yeah,
generations of the workplace and the
generations.
social, and you're absolutely right. Me being in my mom is out there in her 80s. I'm in my 60s. I have children in their 30s and their 20s. You are absolutely right.
And I am knocking on the same door in which you sit as well, late 50s, almost at 60,
Yeah.
and feeling good about where I am. But I do have the younger generation, the next generation, and older generations that are looking at us. So bridging the gap, make it a practice
Mm.
to bridge the gap in what we say and how we show up, such that we can have a lesson for each of those generations. And again, honoring them as well. One of the things that I say here is practicing reverse mentorship. So earlier, I talked
Mm.
about the fact that I learned from a number of different people.
Yeah.
Instead of me always being the teacher, sometimes I need to shut up and listen.
Mm.
Wisdom can come from a number of different places. And when I've shut my mouth to listen, I've learned. Now, there are times when the lesson isn't quite the appropriate time for me and it doesn't quite hit. Let's be real about
Mm.
that.
Yeah.
But it makes me pause long enough to say, what should I be doing with this? And who can glean something from it, or can pass along? And then the other one is staying alive, but not just alive, living vibrantly. That's what it means to thrive. Living
Mm.
vibrantly, living with reciprocity, living with grace, living with
Mm.
gratitude, living with truth, and honoring the great gifts that God has given to you and making sure that you're using it not just to honor yourself and not to be self-serving, but to give back.
You just absolutely shine energetically through well through the screen if you're looking at YouTube. I'm sure she's shining through every platform that you're hearing this on. I think you need to listen to this, double down, listen to it again and again and again. You said some incredibly powerful things, even things that we don't take into accountability, that there's 5 generations out there and what we need to know and how we need to show up. And when you said I have to be quiet, listen. I think the younger version of me being a powerful politician and doing what I did, I plowed over people. I didn't listen. I was trauma driven. I There is some shame around that. But one of my biggest challenges now would be slow down and listen. Whenever I want to overteach, overgive, it's when I'm depleted and I'm wanting to show up and give too much and it's not what's required. I'm not listening.
Yeah.
And I've been hit hard this year. So when you said that, another sign, another reminder. Oh, Dana, be a better listener. Be a better listener. You can be a better listener. I always say, what do I need to know? And I always tell my daughters, my 3 daughters, I can do better when they say, Mom, we don't need you to fix it. We don't need you to go into mom mode. We just need you to listen. And I'm like, okay, I can do. And I always say to them, I can do better. Please don't be frustrated with me. I can do better. And I actually devoted my book to them because of the grace they've given me and the love they've given me through all my imperfections and I don't know
Dana,
how and the yelling. I was a drill sergeant and I was a perfectionist and an overcomer. And I'm still, I think once we choose to be students, and tell me if you think so, Jackie, if we choose to be students, we are students forever.
100%. 100%. I think it's that inflection point where it really hits you. And there are a couple of pages in this book where I have one daughter, her name is Raven,
Oh,
and
I love that.
coming
Raven.
into her own, we were sitting in the kitchen one day. It was a Sunday, I believe, and just having a conversation. And she started a download with me. And here's the thing, as an overthinker, and as much as I believe in God, I'm also a Virgo. So,
Recovered overthinker. Oh, I knew
oh
you were
yeah,
a Virgo. I
oh
knew
my
you
God,
were a Virgo because I'm a Libra with a Virgo, and my house is
Virgo
my
leaning.
and I'm like, she is a Virgo. Then I did an Enneagram yesterday from I had Dr. Sue Morter on and Rachel. Oh, you would love her. Well, I know you know who she is. She was a coach for Oprah, but she said you need to have this done. And do you know what your anagram is?
I don't, but Raven does. So my daughter is deeply into, my moon sign, this sign, and all of the other stuff. I'm leaning in to learn. So
Well,
we have,
it's everything. You know what
it
I
is.
always say? It's a ton of modalities that we
Yes.
take a little bit and a little bit and a little bit, and they all connect, and we don't put too much energy into one specific one, but we take it in and say, "Oh, that's so interesting."
Yeah.
And that makes sense. That makes
Yeah.
sense.
It
And
does.
yeah,
But we were, to your point was so good, where you've said to your daughters, I'm really trying. I'm learning. And yes, I think that once you have answered the call and said and determined, I will be a student, you're
yeah,
more open to learning, even when you go through those loops where you've fallen out of the grace of learning a little bit,
yeah.
you're reminded to get back in. But Raven made me get quiet because she was sharing something with me. And I went into
Mm.
mommy mode where I thought, here's the answer. I need to solve it. And she said, Mom,
Time out.
I
Yeah,
just quietly,
yeah.
quietly. And she's a Scorpio, so she gets spicy.
Oh,
So
oh,
it
I
was,
got one. I got a Scorpio in the middle. Nothing
oh
like
my
that
God.
stinger. Like,
Oh,
ouchie, mama.
yes, I thought the stinger would come out, but she literally leaned in and she said, Mom, Mom, I just need you to listen. I
Yeah.
didn't need you to solve it for me. It's okay. And so, I was sipping on my ginger beer, which is non-alcoholic. It's just good
Oh,
for
I
the throat.
love ginger beer. I just
Oh,
had that in Florida where my daughter lives, and I'm like, what is this? They said ginger beer, and I'm like, I'm buying. I mean, I love it because I've never drank alcohol, and I'm like, oh, I don't do alcohol, and they're like, it's not alcohol, mom. I'm like,
it's
I don't know, but
cheers.
yeah, yeah. Here
Cheers
we
to
go.
the ginger beer.
Cheers to
So
that.
I sipped my ginger beer and I went,
Love it.
oh, okay. And she kept talking. And I said, okay.
You know what I love about what you just said, and I know so many women and maybe men can relate to this too out there that are listening. As moms, we want to fix it. We don't want them to feel the pain or the hurt, and we're always in this mode for me it was rescue. Like let me save you so you don't ever feel what I felt. But now I hold the space for them to feel,
Mhm.
and I give them permission to share their story. It may not be mine. They may say you were da, 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 and I'm like I can
Yeah.
hold space for that and I can do better. And I hear you and I understand. The old me would have plowed over, fixed it, said, that's not true, screamed my head off and
Yeah.
slammed the door, isolated and been an enormous amount of turmoil and pain. And
Yeah.
now I'm like, I'm holding space for it. Like, yes, I can hold my truth and your truth too. And both can be true. Both can be true.
Two or three things can be true at the same
Yeah.
time. I was sharing with a dear friend of mine recently. Um, I, I think you would say that she's a helicopter mom. And what I
Yep.
told her, I said, you're a great mom, but you
Mm.
have to learn to allow your children, because you raise them
Mm.
such that they can be upwardly mobile and great adults in the workplace as well as in different places in life. And I said, when you hover
Yeah.
too much, I
Yeah.
said, I want you to consider this thought. I may be 100% wrong, but consider a thought for a moment. You hovering and trying to do everything for them and solving everything almost says to them, you're incapable and that they cannot be better than you.
And if you listen to them, that's exactly what they're going to say.
Exactly.
And when I heard that, I'm like, oh no, nothing could be further from the truth. But it was my 27-year-old daughter that gave me that. And I'm like, ouch. I
Yeah.
just think you're brilliant. And, but I got quiet and listened. So I love that you shared that because I could have been a little bit like a helicopter. I don't like that visual. I don't like how I behaved. There was shame around it for years, which kept me in that defensive mode. But the minute I could take accountability and hold space for not only my imperfections and the fact that shame is going to prevent me from ever taking accountability and loving myself more, and you talk a lot about that, loving and nurturing and honoring, and it's the it's the only it's the I think it's the only way through.
It is. It is. And I don't think either of us are suggesting that it's ever easy, right?
Oh gosh, no.
Sometimes we go through
No.
by trial and error and fire and we learn. Uh,
Yeah.
it's not always easy, but I think that when we can get into the mode of being a student and even when we jump in feet first, but just stepping back and whether you call it the sacred pause or not, just pausing to hear
Yeah.
someone out and in the hearing, really tune into listening, it can take you miles and miles, miles and miles. Yes.
What, where I'm finding you now today, after all the years reflecting back, what is the biggest lesson you can share with the listeners now? I mean, you've had a big life so far. You've shared an enormous amount. You've given back. You've created foundations that have reached like octopuses. I mean, it's crazy when I started leaning in and said, "Wow, she's more than what she presents." She's very modest, even though you show up as a your fashion is like, but look at her show up like that over and over. It's not like one great outfit, it's all of it. And then I said one day, that must just be AI fashion. And I'm like, wait a minute, that was fashion before AI became a fashion. It's like that is her. That is all her. But what can
Well,
you, yeah, what can you share with the people and the women out there that need?
I do want to share a couple of things. I have failed so much and
Mm,
I'm not upset about my failures because in every place that I have failed, I've gained something. And so what I want is to say is that when you lose, you should never lose the lesson. Each and every one of my failures or my setbacks
mm,
have elevated me to something better, whether it
mm,
was to teach or give or be in timeout, which was
oh,
something I was talking to my PR person about the other day. And I said, sometimes you just have to say, girl, go in timeout. Time
yeah.
yourself out so that you can learn. I've failed so many
Mm,
times, and my failures have created a different path for me to take. Um,
yeah.
listen, you for your listeners, for women and men out there, I'm sure you've heard from others that the saying that failure isn't final. I agree with that as well.
Yeah.
Sometimes some failures can be a finality for a certain place in time.
Yeah.
That
Oh, I
is
love that. I love
okay
that you
too.
acknowledge that. I
That
love that
is
you acknowledge that.
yes, because some books and some chapters are just meant to be read once and to be taken to the next level. When I wrote Corporate Sisterhood 10 years ago, I thought that the seven practical chapters would be it.
And now
Now we
you've
have three
added.
new chapters based upon net new learnings, net
Mm,
new growth. So we can't stop. I want you to never give up on learning. Don't let failure keep you behind. Be open to growth. Be open to
mm,
listening. Be open to the pause. Be intentional about the pause. Time yourself out before someone times you out. But equally
mm,
important, be sure that the God-given talents and the gifts that you were given are used to benefit others. And the last thing that I would say, because I could say a lot here, you know,
yeah.
knocking on the door of 60, there's lots to say, right?
Yeah.
But let me leverage some verbal economics. This body, this mind, this temple that we've been given should always be prioritized. Because when you show up, you've got to show up with intentionality, thoughtfulness, grace, the good stuff.
Mm,
And even if it's one two or three sentences or several sentences. Make it count.
Mm, wow. Leaving on that note, that's so powerful that I hate to even say, where can people find you? Where do you hang out? I know you're on Instagram. What's coming up?
Yes,
Yeah.
I've got my big this year we are honoring my seventh annual fashion show fundraiser and gala. And we're called it's a masquerade theme. It is on the 31st of October. So we're honoring Halloween in a different way.
Is
Now,
that going to be in Dallas?
it will be in H-Town in Houston, not in Dallas.
Oh, I don't know why I said Dallas. Houston. Yes. Houston,
No, no, no.
Houston, Houston. Yeah.
It's okay. So whether you can come or not, I want people to understand why I raise funds for the cure. Since I've been doing this in a more official capacity and since Sipping Positivity has become a 501(c)(3) nonprofit, everything that I do, even with my own books, I have a couple of other things on my website. All of the proceeds go towards helping women. We fund mammographies. We help with the government shutdown to help folks bridge the gap in paying their rent, keeping utilities on. Sometimes women come to us because they're out of a job. And so our mission at Sipping Positivity is to see a world without breast, chest, or any type of cancer.
Mm,
But unfortunately, we live in a world where medicine and the field of science research continues to evolve, and it is a good news story. Regrettably, many are still being diagnosed, and they're being
yeah.
diagnosed at a much younger age, and it breaks
Yeah.
my heart.
Yeah.
It breaks my heart every week that my phone rings and somebody is in need of help. So I hang out on Instagram at Dr. Jacque Colbert. You can also find me on sippingpositivity.org. And so if
Mm,
you're listening, whether you are in the local area or far away, and I have friends in folks who are outside of the US and you can donate to our organization, we are always on for that. And again, our mission is to see a world without any type of cancer where women
mm,
can go from just surviving and not having to worry while they're going through treatments, but
right.
getting to a point where they can survive and live life abundantly.
Wow. What an honor to have you in my life. What an honor to know you, have you on the show. I know my listeners, I want everyone to know we will have all her links. Do not panic if you did write it down. We will provide all of that. It'll be in my newsletter. And I cannot wait to connect with you again. I have a feeling this is just our first rodeo. Is that a Houston thing? Well,
Yes, it is.
as our
Yes, it is.
first rodeo. I don't
Yeah,
know. I see us singing and doing something. It's crazy. It dropped in twice, and I'm like, all little signs all lead to perhaps something bigger. But I don't know. I'm thinking October. That sounds an amazing thing in Houston.
let's make it happen. Let's
Let's
make it
make it
happen.
happen.
I think we need to.
Yeah.
And for your listeners, thank you for tuning in and supporting Dana and listening to this
Mm,
conversation. It is my deepest hope that as each and every person walks away from it, that their cup is a little bit fuller than it left,
mm.
and to be reminded that
Amen.
cup is always refillable. Let's not keep it empty at all. It's refillable.
Oh, I love you. I love you telling everyone that. And just make sure to subscribe, follow, stay connected, and most importantly, be kind and love everyone out there today. All right, everyone. Mwah for now.
Ciao.